change. Can you tell us a little bit, though, before we start, about your background? Where have you come from in the teaching profession?
Yeah. For me, I came from Stand. I was there 7 years, and I've worked with 1,323 children who are either traumatized or vulnerable. So those are the children really at at the end process there. They've gone through GSE, RTLVs, and all the necessary interventions, but it's not done. So we're the backstop, the last one.
Right, that's a lot of children. Yes. What about your teaching before you went to Stand?
So before I went to Stand, I was a teacher at Barry Schools. I've taught in Chisnallwood Intermediate in 2004, where I took over a class there where there were previous teachers there because the teacher was on a stress leave. So I took over. I was the third one. Yeah, and from there on, that's when I was able to develop the skill set regarding children who are hyper-aroused or hypo-aroused.
So you've obviously worked with a lot of children at the top end with needs. How is it then that you've ended up here running Hope Growth Change at Banks Ave? How has this come about?
When I was a Stand, I was working with these traumatized, vulnerable children. So the goal there is to be able to re-engage them back into the mainstream. The problem there was that as soon as they get reintegrated, it's either they still have the same behavior, or they're even worse off because of the alternate reality they've experienced. So in such a way, it frustrated me. So that's why I said there's got to be so much more for these kids, because at the end of the day, these kids would contribute to the society. So this is where I said I'm going back to the mainstream, and thanks for I knocked on your door, and thanks for.
So while you were at Stand, you were making a difference to those children, but then when they were coming back into the school environment, those skills that they had learned weren't working. And that's where we stepped in, because we were thrilled to find out about your expertise, and we made a funding application to the Ministry of Education, and they have funded half of your wages this year, and the Board of Trustees have funded the other half. So we're really excited to be trialling this new program with the aim of making a difference to those children that you were talking about. So you've got a wide range of children here with big needs and across all age groups. What is it at the end of the day that is your big goal for all of them? What is it that you're trying to achieve?
Because the main goal is, I do know how stressful it is in the school, where these children there would either hijack or disrupt the class, or how stressful it is. So my part there is that when I have with them, I teach them strategies for them to be able to, such as to self-manage themselves and be able to really contribute positively to their homeroom class.
So that's your goal. You want them to be able to function ultimately.
How are you going to measure? Because we're accountable to this. I'm accountable to the Board of Trustees for $35,000 and to the Ministry for another chunk of money. So how are we going to measure the success of this program?
First and foremost is there's the student voice, which is done by the survey and interviews that you conducted, and also the PV Thorold data. Because if you guys would have a look behind that on the screen, if you would see the data there, you see that that's the percentage of the children. These are the children in the tier 3.
So 68 of 72 children who are showing aggression, and that's our biggest issue here at school, are actually involved in your program.
Well, that's crunching the numbers. It's 94.4%. So that would be the baseline data that I will be working on, so that whether we will see if there would be a level of significance with regard to the program it's being catered to.
So each term, this is for term 1, so each term you're going to look at our PB4L data and see if it's making a difference to our overall data. Okay, that becomes quite good baseline data. And then, as you said, you've gathered student voice, and I'm also gathering teacher voice, because it's important to find out what's going on. And we'll do that through the year, and then have a mixture of data at the end of the year that we can look together. Now, I know the burning question with staff is, these children disappear to you for 45 minutes a day. What do you do over there? Because they come back with different stories. So tell us about the
The
program.
program has got a structure with it. So the structure goes where you got the structure. This is where I try to brief them, orient them, the expectations for the day, the learning intentions. Why are we doing this? So it's purposive. And there's also what I call there the opportunity or the engagement part, where after they've been oriented, that's when I provide them that, and then the teaching there, I provide them that the task activity that they could they're going to be doing, and then afterwards there's this part there that's the nurture. That's my deliberate action. This is the most important thing here. The nurture is that part there where you're creating a synapse in the child's brain. You know that sometimes when tasks get difficult, that's when they start shutting. It's either they shut down or they just play up. But once they see that there's that nurture part, that hey look, I want you to succeed. I'm here. I'll help you out. And it's kind of funny because sooner or later the walls come down.
So that's really about building relationships.
Yes.
So so while the children, so they come in, you share the learning intention. There's explicit teaching that happens.
Yes.
They go off to do the must do, the teaching connected to that, and then you touch base individually with the children and hook into the nurture.
Yes.
So forming that connection. Okay, what happens after they've done the must do part of things?
So the must do is there's this can do after that one there. So basically after we've done all those bits there, the nurture part, there's this can do. Just bear in mind there that the can do, because they only have me for 45 minutes max. So normally those three components there, it usually takes 3/4 of it. So the can do is something they negotiate. It's from the choices there. So it's maximum 10 minutes, because 12 minutes, let's just say, but setting up the computer or setting up the boxes there or getting the materials for their creative stuff. So 10 minutes max. By the time, yeah.
So what kind of things are they choosing to do in the can do part?
Because it's amazing, because people tend to have this notion there that it's technology, but it's not really. Because actually there, that's why I've got heaps of cardboards, and I do know for a fact that there's also some other children who are not in my class asking for cardboards.
Yeah.
They create these things there. I create a challenge there that's something like build a helmet, or maybe build something like a suit or something like that one there. So it's the creative stuff. Yeah.
So the can do is the can do is the part at the end, which is kind of a carrot at the end of the stick to get them through the must do part. Are there any, and if they're choosing to go into technology, I think that this might be a misillusion. Is there a restriction on the websites the children can go on, or can they go on whatever they want?
No, there is a restriction. So the can do that's why it's called can do, because we negotiate. So I usually put it on the board. Those are the things that are allowed.
Okay.
So for me, it's clear. I condition them that, because there was a point in time where for a week there was no computer, because some of them were always negotiating that, we go there. So in other words, the computers were there, so I put it away and then just provided the cardboards.
Okay. Because they broke your trust.
Yes. So it's much more. It's like a currency, really.
Yes.
That it's not, because normally others would be kicking out that, why can't we do computers? But they understood, and then there's this trust here that was broken.
What kind of programs, when they are on the technology, what kind of programs, because I know there are one or two that they are loving, so what kind of programs are you finding are the ones that they favour?
They favor Study Ladder.
Yeah.
The Prodigy, there's a couple there. But for the other ones there who like games there, I sometimes try to check the website. They go there and I play it myself, whether it's a problem solving, strategy, numbers, but normally it's all about maths.
Okay, about maths?
Yeah.
Okay, so some reinforcing there. Is Cool Maths one of the ones that they, I heard them saying that yesterday. I know that for you relationships are really pivotal, and that you spent the first few sessions getting to know the children, identifying some triggers and some appropriate responses. How did you do that?
So basically for me, that's why the first 2 weeks there, I personally had a one-to-one session with the child there. So it's basically just getting, it's like what pushes the buttons, how they would like to be talked to. you know, so that you could identify the volume, tone, cadence, which is very necessary here. And also the you know, it's just basically, you know, knowing them as an individual. You know, it's because there's certain saying, knowing the parts to understand the whole.
Okay.
But I'm doing it the other way around, knowing the whole, so you could understand the parts.
So you got to know the children, you took time to get to know them individually. I think there was a program as well that you used, and you did a bit of to look at their strengths. Do you want to tell us about that?
I used multiple intelligence by Howard Gardner. Each one of them, I took them on a test. And it's kind of funny because at first they were very, whoa, we didn't want to do that. But once they got into it, they saw the result because I printed it straight away. It's kind of funny because they were the ones there who validated that, yes, I'm good at this.
Yeah.
And they even wanted, there's a couple of children like Valentine who wanted to have a copy for himself and his mom.
Yeah.
And also for his teacher.
So if you were trying to set up a supportive program back in class, you could be looking at looking at their strengths and hooking in and making.
So I've got the corresponding resource for that.
Okay.
You know, so where they're good at for each subject.
Yes.
So some of them sometimes they can choose.
After they've been with you, what is it that teachers can do back in their rooms to reinforce and support the children after they've been with you?
First and foremost is obviously relationship is very important because there's a certain saying there that I do know that the admin agrees there that if you don't take care of their well-being, then there's no point of going into the academics.
Right.
So student achievement, if you want to change anything about student achievement, just go back to the 5 key competencies. Participating, contributing, those self-managing, and the most important thing is have that concept of that for the child there to feel that he belongs or he or she belongs. Make them run to you rather than run away from you.
That leads really nicely into my next question, actually, because managing challenging behaviour is really difficult for all of us, even with years and years of experience in teaching. So what are some behaviour 101 tips that you could give us?
Because sometimes, when a child is hyper-aroused, which is normally most of these kids are, it's easy to see that, the problem or the behavior that they're exhibiting. But if you would look underneath that one there's a reason, there's a need really that needs to be addressed while the child's doing that. So, because for us, when this problematic behavior that the child is doing, sometimes, it causes distress in us as a teacher. That sometimes how we deal with it is based on our frustration with the behavior. But if you would look at it though, there's a need. Like that's what I'm saying. If you get to know your child, each learner, you know their trigger, and you also know that there's a couple of things there that they don't like. Perfect example is Valentine there, and a couple of children there. They perceive us seeking support as a weakness.
So if they can't do something in class and need to ask the teacher, they see that they've failed or that they're not very good.
Yeah. They look at themselves as weak.
Yeah.
So they'd rather be kicked out of the class rather than to be focused there as somebody who's weak. Because we had this activity there, that the perception feelings, and most of the boys and the seniors, that's what they said. That if you seek support, you're weak. Which right now I'm trying to break down, create a new synapse that hey look, it's better to be a fool for 5 minutes than a fool forever.
Yeah. I know you use those little sayings quite often, don't you? And that's a kind of repeated message that you give the children, so that actually, and you're trying to change their thinking, so trying to change their mindset on that. And that's a good thing for teachers to reinforce back in class. I think that point that you just raised about look at the need, because we focus on the behaviours. I know that we do that when they come up to us at senior management. So we focus on the behaviour, but actually what's driving it, what sits behind it, because if you address the need, you're going to stop the behaviour happening. Yeah, so being aware of that is really important. David, thank you very much for sharing. I'm going to throw it open to the teachers and see if any of them have got any questions, because we are all in this together. So let's see what they would like to know. Has anybody got anything they'd like to ask David?
At this stage, is it too early to determine progress in
That's
relation?
a good question.
You know, the fact of the matter there is, right now it's because more or less the students with you, they spend a longer time with you. So, just by their mindset, like if they come across a certain challenge or something, but it's really too early for me to really say it as a collective that yes, there was a level of significance. Yeah, because creating new synapses in the brain of children, it takes a wee bit of a while process.
And if you think about the time frame, if you have them at stand, you have them for 6 weeks, but you have them every day for 6 weeks without many interruptions.
Yeah.
Whereas we're in a learning environment here, you've got them for 40 minutes a day, plus additional time in the afternoon, and there's a lot of interruptions. So I think what we're trying to do here is to get the same results over a longer period of time, but get it embedded back into their natural environment. And I think that question, surely, the best people for us to ask that will be your teachers, because you're the ones who deal with them. So that will be maybe at the end of term 2 when I come to you with a questionnaire for you to think about some of those changes that you've seen. I do know we've dropped some children off the program, and we're picking up a couple of new ones. And I think because of the nature of the program, this is totally new. It hasn't been done anywhere else before. So we have played with the timetable, and some things have arisen, like children missing out on maths every day. So we've swapped things around. So we are trying to develop it as we go. But yeah, that was a good question. Any other questions?
Could you give an example of what one of your must-do activities are?
That's a good question.
Usually when the learning intention, a perfect example is there's this thing where we talk about the learning perception affects feelings. So my must do there is from there, obviously I do my deliberate acts of teaching. I tell them there, and then we come up with these ideas there, and then afterwards the must do is I give them the sheet. So there's a sheet that's relevant to that one there, that pertains to that, and it's amazing because this must do provides you a window, a snippet into their psyche, their brain.
So what was the sheet? What was on the sheet that you gave them to do with the perception?
The feelings of perception, like I would put here something like this would be possible perception, like being supported. What being supported? What is your thinking around that? So that's how I got that. Being supported for them feels weak, or being loved. Some even said it's gross. So it provides you that snippet of the window, what they think about things there, and then it's quite good because suddenly you're able to see there. So this is the reason there, but that why when you're being praised, you did something good, and then all of a sudden you turn around and do something silly.
Because they perceive it as not a good thing.
So others perceive it as something like a weakness.
And then you have conversations with the children around that. Do you do that one-on-one, or do you get them all back together to talk about things?
I do it discreetly one-on-one when they're doing, because some of them, if during that nurture I still need to top up further. That's when they're doing their can do. Sometimes I would say, "Excuse me, mate, can I have a few minutes of your time?" Which they openly, and then I pull them to the corner there, and then we talk further. That perfect. Bradley is very keen to do that all the time there. When I pull him to one corner there, and I would say, "Hey, I've noticed the way you were talking to such and such. So what's going on?" And then
You're in a ideal situation which teachers don't get, because we've got 20 plus other children to take that time, and yet it's time children really need. So you're in a perfect situation to be able to take that time out with a little group of children in there, and to have those rich conversations which lots of our children don't get in any other context of their life. Yeah, it's really important. Do you want to talk to us about what, because I think that's the crux of what teachers want to know about some of another one of your must-dos or another one of your lessons?
Another learning intention. Another one there is when it comes to something about respect. What is respect? So what I do is the activity sometimes is first I create it's purposive that there's self-concept about respect. Because some has got this concept there. It's better to be feared.
Mm.
You know, when people respect you, when you know you could bash them or something.
Mm.
So that's what I'm saying. That hey, look, you know, that's not called respect. Mate, that's called fear.
Mm.
So basically, you know, it's kind of funny because the seniors when I talk to them about that you know that all of a sudden so I didn't know that that's not respect
Mm.
because for them it's because of the environment they're in. You know, this is how people are able to gain respect. But this is what I'm saying there, that some of the method strategies that I use is alternate mirror. You know,
Tell us about the alternate mirror, because you've got lots of kind of, not slang, because it's not slang, lots of phrases that were new to me, and alternate mirror is one of the ones that you talk about quite often when we have conversations. So tell us what an alternate mirror is.
it's like if the child's hyper aroused. That's what I'm saying. Attend to the need. Don't attend to that behavior there. Sometimes provide them that you're the one who's calm. You know, you keep saying, sit down. Man. Then they go, oh no, sit down.
So alternate mirror is when they're at one level, you do the opposite.
Yes,
So
you
you're mirroring them to them, which is almost, without saying it, you're role modelling your expectation for what you want from them.
Yes. And it's deliberately.
Yeah. So,
Because sometimes it's easy to say, sit down.
yeah.
You know, but the fact of the matter, for these kids, confrontation doesn't work.
Mm.
Because as soon as you go on that confrontation, they kick up the ante.
Mm.
Whereas you know, you might say it 8 times, but you know what? If you're consistent, you know they'll get the message. I mean, Fletcher responds very well to that one there when you know he said swearing and all. All right, talk to me properly. You know.
So you're modelling to him the alternate mirror is the language and the way you're using it is, which is probably what teachers do quite often anyway. But we've now got a terminology to put to it. One of your other terminology is you talk about task connectors. What's a task connector?
The task connector. This is the best currency you could use in your classroom.
Okay.
So it's something there that you hook them in, that something they can look forward to. You know, it's like this is the can do that's available for you as soon as you finish your must do. So you're not, and then you say, I'm not saying you can't no, you can't do that, but you got to do this first before you can do that.
So in order for you to get what you want out of them in the core subjects of reading, writing or maths or anything else, so you have the task that you want, and then that's again that carrot. So you talk about that task connector, and you're really explicit on setting that up. And that's been modelled by you in your program, so that again that would be something teachers could transfer over. Do the children know the term task connector, or is that a teacher term?
It's a teacher term,
Yeah.
and the fact of the matter there is this is very important, how well you know the child. That's why you know that getting to know the child there, that's part of it. You know, so that you're getting to know them, so you could set up the task connector. You know, and that multiple intelligence. You know, like what pushes your button. You know, so if this is a task connector, you look at it, that's not going to work with him.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Any other questions?
David, you also use the term venting off. I wonder if you can explain that a little bit more.
So the analogy I could use is, let's just put it this way there, you know, it's like a car. You know, because with children, you know, obviously they've got their set of things there they need to do. So it's like a brake. You keep braking and you keep braking. So the venting off is someone like an ABS. So you apply the brakes, you release it a wee bit so that they could vent off. Because normally this is the part there that's what I call the can do. This is where the can do jumps in there. You provide them you know, because during the downtime, that's where a couple of children there can get lost. So with regard to venting off, is that part there where they could choose, like the creative, they could make and do, or they could work with the Lego, something like that one day. But it's only a certain amount of time, because you just want them to vent off.
You want them to stop that simmering that's going to go into a hard boil.
Yeah.
You want them to come back down again a little bit, and you're spotting it to see that they need.
So you apply the brakes again.
Yeah.
After once you see that it's coming down, apply the brakes again.
Yeah.
So looking ahead for term 2, what is it that you're hoping to achieve with the groups of children that you are continuing with?
Because for me, what I was working on is currently I'm addressing this thing about what you call the social stressor. So usually, anyway, I'm using the terminology again. Social stressors, these are the ones that I've noticed there that disrupts the normal growth need of a child, like the concept of belonging, the concept of independence, the concept of mastery, the concept of generosity. So this term alone, I was hoping that I could start, that I could be able to do the mastery, but from the looks of it, bulk of this term was basically built on the concept of belonging. Belonging, and then a fair bit of some children they've already starting on independence, but majority of the children I've got there are still going towards independence.
That concept of belonging, if we were going to give a tip for having mastered that, I think the sheer fact that when I did a Google survey on children yesterday, and one of the questions I asked them was on a scale of 1 to 5, 1 being not at all to 5 you love it, how much do you like coming to Hope Growth Change? And they were all 5s. So you have created within the program a sense of belonging, which is great. So I suppose we want ways of that belonging being transferred back into classrooms, so those children, because what we don't want to do is to set up a conflict between Hope Growth Change, Mr. E's room, and the classroom teacher. So I suppose it will be a matter of us thinking cleverly about how that belonging works within the classroom, so that they feel that same sense of belonging in the classroom. So you're looking at continuing with those 4 social stresses, that's what you called it?
Yeah.
Next term.
Because I mean, because there's a part of it where there's this physical stressor, which is normally domestic violence and all those bits here, and you got the emotional stressor. This is already the learned behavior children has, like the concept of this is what I worry, that concept of rejection. That's the opposite of belonging, because these are what you call volatile emotions that can really set children, the volatile ones, straight up. So those are the things there that I'm pretty much aware of all the time.
You have a wealth of expertise, David. If you were going to leave us with one piece of wisdom today, just one thing, what would you say to us? What's your one piece of wisdom?
But my piece of advice, which is pretty much generic, that there's a certain saying there that it's better if the children are engaged, chances are you facilitate, you don't manage. Whereas if you manage, that means you're on the back foot, because obviously there is already something there, you're applying the brakes all the time, as I would say. Whereas if the children are engaged, you got more time really to focus more on those children there that you need to touch base with. So yeah, in that light there, keep them engaged in such a way that don't stifle the creativity, because each of the child there are creative, and creativity is also a part there wherein they explore. They're able to feel confident that, hey, look, I made a mistake. So they learn from it, because nowadays I've noticed a lot of children are scared of getting it wrong because of fear of shame, or maybe being reprimanded. Because the last word I could say that, because if the children are scared of getting it wrong, they'll never come up with something original.
No, so the first one is look at engagement, because that is really important, because if the children aren't engaged, you're going to end up managing the behaviours. So, and you gave us earlier in our conversation, you've given us some tips about engaging with task connectors and must-dos and can-dos. You talked about the need of creativity. And then what was the third one?
So
there was something that you finished on.
No, it's more something about the need.
About it, So thank you so much, David. We're really excited at BZEV to have the opportunity of developing, working, trialling this program. You're very generous with your time and sharing your expertise. There's a lot of new language to learn, and we are in it together, because at the end of the day, children are central to everything that the teachers are doing, and it's central to what you're doing, and it's central to what we're doing in management. So thank you very much for this interview and for being here.